Hey world. Good evening, guys. How you guys doing on this evening? Hopefully this video finds you in great health, in great success, and dominating everything it is that you touch. It's your boy Top Dog. I'm back in the building here with another video on Motivational Mondays, guys. We're here to motivate you in this new speaker series. So for those that are returning to the channel, we certainly thank you for the continued support. Continue to like, comment, share, hit the notifications buzzer for our new viewers. Come on in. We certainly have a treat for you on tonight because on this channel, we love to invoke thoughts, promote higher levels of understanding, elevate, motivate so that you can go out and dominate. So on this evening, guys, I have some subject matter that I want to speak to you about that's going to help to motivate you on this Motivational Monday. So as always, come on in, do whatever it is that you do to relax, and let's get loose. So tonight, guys, what I want to talk about is, have you ever been in a situation where you set a goal for yourself and you wonder why that goal never fully manifests itself? And I'm going to give you one of the main reasons why. This is not going to be a very lengthy video, but I want to go into one of the main reasons why you set out on a goal and that goal never manifests itself. And then what usually happens is you move on to another goal because you don't feel like that goal was any good, or unconsciously you start to move on to something else because you haven't gotten good yet or mastered dominating seeing a goal through to fruition. This is very rarely done when you're trying to multitask. Some of you guys may be able to multitask and accomplish several goals at once. But if this were the case, then all of us would be much more accomplished than we are right now. I would tend to say that this is true with most of us. So with that being said, most of us need to concentrate on maybe one or two things at a time. So here's what happens, guys, without further ado. I'm not going to leave you in so much suspense that you're wondering here we go. What happens to a lot of us is we start out on a goal and either we give up on that goal totally. Most of us are comfortable with doing that. Something happens, a distraction happens, something comes along to kind of knocks us off our path, and we just abandon the goal, period. Those are for beginners. I'm not going to call you weaker. I'm going to say beginners. So we understand that when a baby deer is born, which is called a fawn, and is born, it doesn't come out walking right away. Same with other mammals. Cows that are called calves, baby horses that are called colts. They don't come out walking right away. Once they're born, they have to nurse from the mom for a couple of days, and then eventually they gather the strength up to begin to walk. This is true. This is the same with us and when we're learning to set goals. Everybody doesn't come out walking, and certainly not coming out running, right? So what happens is, so there it is right there. Doesn't mean that you have to give up just because you don't come out hitting the ground running or walking for that matter. Some of us abandon our goals totally. And I'm not talking to those people on this particular video. For those that are giving up, we're going to put you in a space to where now you start to make some progress and at least standing up and then walking and running. A lot of us put into our minds, we want to come straight out the gate running. We don't want to go through the process because that's the world that we're living in right now. Everybody wants instantaneous success. Nobody wants to go through the process of being picked, pruned, molded, shaped into what it is that they need to be shaped into. Everybody wants stuff just like this. It's the microwave generation. So we're going to teach and instruct how to get everybody into a mindset that they can achieve their goals one at a time to begin, and then start to multitask. Don't bite off more than you can chew, because you're going to make things more difficult and convoluted in your life, and you don't want that. So we have those that give up on their goals straight out the gate, right? We're going to teach you how to go from that point to now now you're moving into what I wanted to talk about, which was you start to experience some wins. You start to take steps towards your goals, and you experience a couple of wins, and you start to pat yourself on the back. And in that patting yourself on the back, you give yourself a sense of security. You give yourself a sense of entitlement, but the end is not completed yet. So you've given up halfway down the path line, because you figure, well, if I make it halfway, then that's good enough for me. But the mission is not complete. And now you've began to move on to another goal, because you haven't learned yet how to see that thing all the way through. You're only one step above the person that as soon as it starts raining outside and you're on a run, you're going to turn back around and go home. You're not going to complete the mission. So as soon as anything comes along in your life, roadblocks or anything like that, you're going to give up. You move to that next step to where, okay, I've gone further along the path. I've gone further along down the road. And now I'm starting to give up, because now I have wins. But what good is that doing? What good is that doing to the people that are watching you? Is that benefiting them? Because believe me, no matter what you're doing, no matter how hard you're doing it, somebody is watching you. How are they benefiting? This is what I talk to you guys about all the time when we're talking about this is not for you. It's never been about you. It's never going to be about you. It's about those that you can help along the way. So if you give up while somebody's watching you, what is that teaching them? What is that teaching the next generation? It's okay to give up. No, you got to see this thing all the way through. You can't start to pat yourself on the back once you've experienced a couple of wins and now think, okay, well, this goal is done. No, if you haven't gotten all the way to the finish line, it's not over. And you have to have total, complete tunnel vision to achieve that goal. You can't give up until it's all the way done, because those that are watching us see that as they're not learning what it takes to see something from fruition and take it through all the way to the end. I talk about planting seeds all the time. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced anything like this, but I'm going to give you an example. Last year, I started gardening, and this is why I can now visualize when I say planting a seed. Last year, I started gardening, and this is something that I'm going to continue on. Okay, so I had to get the dirt ready. I had to loosen the soil. I had to fertilize the soil. And then once the season was right, started to plant the seed. Last year, I planted onions. I planted peppers. I planted tomatoes. So you put the plant in the ground. You start to see it. Now, here's what I'm talking about. Some of us get so anxious and so excited. It's like, as soon as you put the plant in the ground, I should start seeing tomatoes right away tomorrow. No, that's not the way that it goes. See, because you may have to refertilize that soil. You have to give it the proper water. But some of us put the plant in the ground. We don't think that we have to refertilize the soil. We're not watering properly. So the sun is coming down and it's killing our plants. If we don't see the tomatoes or the onions in the next day, I'm done with that. Let's scratch that. Let's move on to another vegetable. Okay, so here's the example of the second individual that I'm talking about. Put the plant in the ground, you refertilize it, you water it a couple times, and you start to see some vegetation and some leaves grow, and you say, okay, well, this is long enough. You know, I saw something. Well, maybe you get 1 or 2 tomatoes. Maybe you get to the point where you see a tomato or something and you say, man, it's good enough for me. I'm good. But you're not realizing that by the time this plant is done, you could have gotten 20 to 30 tomatoes. So the mission is not complete. And I'm trying to break this down into the simplest form that I can to reinforce my point. That the goal is not complete until you get all the way to the finish line. You can't. So let's transition over into sports. When you start the season, I'm sure everybody's goal, let's use basketball as an example. Everybody's goal is to win the NBA championship. Now, you got some teams that are in it just to say, look, we just want to get through the season and we want to enter into the lottery. We're going to trust the process as Philadelphia did way back a couple years ago. We're just going through the season. We're trying to lose as many games as we can so that we can get the higher draft picks, because this is a process. And they even named it Trust the Process. So we're going to tank for a full 2 to 3 seasons so that we can get the #1 draft pick or close, or a top 5 draft pick. So, and we're satisfied with that. That's just throwing away the season. That's just saying, hey, we're not looking to experience any success. Then you got the teams that say, hey, well, look, we ain't shooting for the NBA championship. It will be good enough for us just to make it to the playoffs. We're going to play this whole season, and it's good enough. If we make the playoffs, it's fine. If we don't, that's also fine. Okay? This is a loser's mentality, because every year that you're shooting for something, it should be with the mindset that I'm going to achieve this and I'm going to see this thing all the way through. So if you're not playing championships, you shouldn't be on the floor. Are you translating this and relating this to how I'm trying to tie this in? If you're not on the floor for championships, then you shouldn't be on the floor. What good does it, with the pat on the backs, with the pat on the backs that I'm talking about, what good is it to shoot for the playoffs just to get swept in the first round? Is that a successful season? No, we're playing for championships because that's the ultimate goal. Until we get to the championship, we should never be satisfied. You see how I'm trying to tie this in? Never pat yourself on the back and experience a couple of wins and say, oh, I made it. Let's move on to something else. Let's do something else now. Because you're going to do the same. You're going to rinse, wash, and repeat. You're going to do the same thing with the next goal. You may experience one more win, but until you learn to see that thing from start to finish, you're losing. This is why we must first learn how to achieve one goal at a time and then move into a state where we can multitask and do several things. Now, listen. If that's you, if you're that type of individual that can just do several things at one time, I'm not talking to you. I can't personally do this. I have to see one thing all the way through and go through that, be refined, just like a piece of gold. Because, listen, look up what gold looks like before it's refined and introduced to the market in the way that you consume it. It doesn't look anything like that. It has to be refined. It has to be broken down. It has to go through a whole bunch of other things before the finished product that you see is presented to you. It has to go through all of that stuff. A diamond doesn't look like how it's presented to you. It has to go through a refinery process. It's got to be pruned. It's got to go through temperatures that no human thing can withstand to come out to the finished product. This is the same thing that we have to go through in achieving goals. Everything is not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy all the time. It's only going to become easier once you fall in love with doing the same thing over and over again, and you become familiar with the process. Nothing beats being prepared. Nothing beats being prepared. You should never have to get prepared. You should always be prepared. So going through that process over and over and over again is what makes us great at achieving goals, at knowing how to achieve the goal. How do we do that? We go through the process over and over and over and over again. You see, you should go through it so many times that you're able to teach it to somebody else. Let me say that again. You should, whatever you're sitting on a video or talking to somebody about, you should have gone through that process over and over and over again until you're able to teach it to somebody else. And I've gone through this process of starting out on a goal, first of all, and giving up on a goal, and then going a couple steps later to I experienced a couple of wins till, seeing something all the way through. I've gone through all of that to be able to show you what it takes to take just from a seed to what you can produce after that. So guys, one step at a time. Never bite off more than you can chew. Set SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, reality, and time-bound. Realistic and time-bound, sorry. So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. If you're not setting goals like this, if you skip one of these steps, you're going to fail somewhere along that walk of setting goals. And remember what today is. Today is Motivational Monday, so we're here to motivate. And I know somebody got value out of this video, so we want to amp up the comments that we leave down in the section because we want to help this whole community to set goals, to see them all the way through, because everything aligns up with one another. Setting goals hand in hand with achieving those goals. And if we're not achieving those goals, we have to backtrack and figure out why it is, which step along the way did we skip to have us not achieve that goal. If you're honest with yourself and you're looking at things through a lens of getting better, you'll be able to go back and figure out which one of those steps that you skipped. I'll make a video coming up about the whole thing and walking through the SMART goals from start to finish, but we're not going to do that here on this evening. So the value is what we're aiming for, guys. Getting value out of each and every one of these videos. Please leave your comments down below, letting us know that you got value and sharing your experiences of either getting into a goal and not being able to achieve that goal because you gave up very, very quickly, or you gave up too early, you were in the process and you gave up, or how you saw a goal all the way through. The whole community can learn from this. We're not hoarders of information. We're not selfish people. We want to share so that we input more into this world than we take out. So again, guys, thank you so much for, first of all, tuning into the video. I know you could have been anywhere else in the world on this evening, but you chose to give us just a couple of minutes of your time to enlighten yourself and to gain knowledge. And we certainly appreciate that. You should give yourselves a round of applause for doing so. I also want to kind of remind us as we're going through this world crisis to be careful out there. Remember to take the steps that we've been taught since we were children. Wash your hands. Don't be touching your face. Don't input this this virus into your system and harm your family as well as harming others. So we definitely want to be careful out there. We definitely want to be doing things that push us into a different trajectory in life, to where if anything like this happens again, we're putting ourselves and our families in a position to where we don't have to go out into the world. If you do at this point, going out into the world and putting yourself at a higher risk of getting this disease and then also spreading it. So just be careful out there. Just wanted to give that disclaimer, but we're definitely going to get back on topic in goals. All right. We definitely want to take one step at a time. We definitely want to crawl before we walk. We definitely don't want to speed up the process. We want to go through all parts of the process so that we can be refined in the right way. So that once the goal is accomplished, we can teach having achieved that goal. We can now teach someone else. So guys, thanks so much again for tuning in. Continue, like, comment, share these videos. Most importantly, comment, hit that notifications buzzer. Until our next video, thanks guys. Peace out.